think you die the way you live. So Captain Kirk always had these grotesque things happening. Oh, look at that. It's an animal. I think it's going to eat me.
At 93, William Shatner sat down for an interview about Star Trek's most divisive ending. The interviewer asked about Kirk's death in Star Trek Generations. Shatner's face tightened. For 30 years, he'd defended it, called it poetic. I called it fitting.
Oh, my.
But this time, something changed. It was wrong, he said quietly. I knew it then. I know more now.
Documentaries that I'm directing, wonderful reviews, and is very popular, called The Captain.
It was the first time he'd admitted it publicly without qualification. The first time he'd acknowledged that Captain Kirk, the most iconic character in science fiction history, deserved better than falling off a bridge on a random planet. For decades, Shatner had been diplomatic, professional, protective of the film and the franchise. But at 93, facing his own mortality, he was finally ready to tell the truth. Kirk's death wasn't heroic. It wasn't meaningful. It was a studio decision, a contract negotiation, a way to pass the torch to the next generation cast. And Shatner had gone along with it because he thought it was his last chance to play Kirk one more time. The captain who defined science fiction, William Shatner, became Captain James T. Kirk in 1966. He was 35 years old, a working actor with theater experience and some television credits.
Klingon vessel decloaking directly ahead, sir.
Target their bridge! Full disruptors!
Nothing special. Gene Roddenberry cast him because Shatner brought something unique to the role.
To tell the truth, it was a publicity thing for Star Trek V, but NASA and Star Trek have been closely aligned all through the years.
Confidence without arrogance. Authority with vulnerability. Kirk wasn't a military stereotype. He was a leader who questioned orders, who valued his crew above regulations, who believed in diplomacy before violence. The original Star Trek ran for 3 seasons before cancellation in 1969. It wasn't a massive hit. Ratings were decent but not spectacular. Shatner moved on to other projects, assumed Kirk was behind him. Then something unexpected happened: syndication. Star Trek reruns built a devoted following throughout the 70s. Conventions started. Fan clubs formed. Kirk became iconic. Not just a character, but a cultural touchstone. Shatner watched in amazement as this canceled show became a phenomenon. By the late 70s, Paramount wanted a film. Shatner returned to Kirk, assuming it would be one movie, a nostalgic reunion. Instead, it became 6 films over 18 years. Kirk defined Shatner's career, gave him financial security and lasting fame. But it also trapped him. Every role after Kirk was compared to Kirk. Every performance measured against that captain's chair. Shatner both loved and resented the character. That complicated relationship would shape everything that followed. The film that changed everything. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, premiered in 1982. It saved the franchise. The first film had been slow and cerebral, disappointing to fans expecting adventure. Wrath of Khan delivered everything audiences wanted: action, emotion, consequence, and Spock's death. Leonard Nimoy's character sacrificed himself to save the Enterprise. The scene was devastating. Spock died behind glass while Kirk watched helplessly. I have been and always shall be your friend. It destroyed audiences. Shatner was brilliant in those scenes, playing Kirk's grief with raw authenticity. The film was a massive success, but it created a problem. Nimoy wanted to direct the next film. I wanted creative control. Paramount agreed. Star Trek III became about resurrecting Spock. Shatner supported it publicly. Privately, he felt sidelined. Kirk's story was being sacrificed for Spock's return. This pattern continued. Star Trek IV was Nimoy's vision, a time travel comedy, hugely successful. Star Trek V was Shatner's turn to direct. I was troubled from the start. Budget cuts, script problems, The final film was poorly received. Critics hated it. Fans rejected it. Shatner's ego took a massive hit. He'd tried to prove he could direct like Nimoy. Failed publicly. Star Trek VI was better. A fitting farewell to the original crew. It should have been the end. Kirk and the Enterprise crew riding into the sunset. But Paramount had other plans. The phone call that sealed Kirk's fate. In 1993, Paramount called Shatner about Star Trek Generations. The Next Generation cast was moving to films. The studio wanted to bridge the two eras, wanted Kirk to appear alongside Captain Picard. Pass the torch officially. Shatner read the script. Kirk's role was small. He appeared in the beginning, disappeared, then returned at the end to help Picard stop the villain. Then he died. Fell off a bridge, said "oh my," and died. Shatner hated it. Called the producers. Argued for changes. They offered more money. I promised it would be meaningful. Promised Kirk would die heroically saving millions of lives. Shatner was 63. He needed the work. I needed the paycheck. I needed to play Kirk one more time. He negotiated a better death scene. Kirk would die on his feet, not his back. Would save the day before dying. It still wasn't enough, but Shatner signed the contract anyway. He's admitted in interviews that he made a mistake, that he should have demanded a better script or walked away. But he didn't. He took the money, did the work, and gave Kirk an ending that satisfied no one. The film was released in November 1994. Critics were mixed. Fans were furious. Kirk deserved better. Everyone knew it, including Shatner. The regret that haunted him. For years after Generations, Shatner tried to fix it. He wrote novels where Kirk was resurrected. Co-wrote The Return, where Kirk came back to life through Borg technology and Romulan science. It was fan service, wish fulfillment, a way to undo what couldn't be undone. The book sold well, gave fans the ending they wanted, but they weren't canon. Didn't matter to the official franchise. Paramount moved forward with Next Generation films. Kirk was gone, dead, irrelevant. Shatner kept pushing, pitched ideas for Kirk's return in future films, contacted J.J. Abrams when the reboot film started in 2009, offered to appear, linked the original timeline to the new one. Abrams politely declined. There was no place for Shatner's Kirk in the new films. Leonard Nimoy appeared as old Spock, but Kirk stayed dead. That hurt Shatner more than he admitted publicly. Nimoy got to return, got to be part of the franchise's rebirth. Shatner was excluded, left behind. The regret grew heavier. He'd killed Kirk for a paycheck and a mediocre script. Now he'd never get the chance to make it right. Never get to give Kirk the ending he deserved. That knowledge ate at him for decades, still eats at him now. The friendship he lost. Shatner's relationship with Leonard Nimoy complicated everything. They'd been colleagues for decades, friends at times, rivals at others. The dynamic was complex, competitive. By the 2000s, they'd drifted apart. Nimoy felt Shatner was self-centered, focused only on his own career and legacy. Shatner felt Nimoy had abandoned their friendship, chosen Star Trek politics over personal loyalty. They stopped speaking. Years passed. Shatner tried to reconcile. Nimoy refused. In 2014, Nimoy's health declined. He was dying. Shatner reached out. I wanted to visit, wanted to say goodbye. Nimoy said no. He died in February 2015. Shatner didn't attend the funeral. He was committed to a charity event in Florida, chose not to cancel. The backlash was immediate. Fans accused him of disrespecting Nimoy, of valuing a charity appearance over his oldest friend's funeral. Shatner defended himself, said Nimoy would have understood, that the charity mattered. But the truth was more complicated. Nimoy had rejected him, refused reconciliation. Shatner was hurt, angry. Attending the funeral felt hypocritical when Nimoy had refused to see him while alive. Still, he regrets it now. Regrets not going. The space flight that changed his perspective. In October 2021, William Shatner became the oldest person to travel to space. He was 90 years old. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' space company, invited him on a suborbital flight. Shatner accepted. He'd played a starship captain for decades. never actually seen space. The flight lasted 11 minutes. Shatner went up with 3 other passengers. Experienced weightlessness, saw Earth from space, saw the thin blue line of atmosphere protecting all life, saw the blackness beyond. When he landed, Shatner was overwhelmed, emotional. He tried to describe what he'd felt to Bezos. The words came out jumbled, philosophical. He talked about death, about the fragility of life, about how space wasn't the final frontier. Death was. Bezos awkwardly sprayed champagne while Shatner had an existential crisis on camera. The moment went viral. Some people mocked it. Others found it profound. Shatner didn't care. He'd experienced something that changed him. The conventions he still attends. Even at 93, Shatner attends Star Trek conventions. He charges high fees for appearances and autographs. Some fans resent this. I think he's exploiting their love for Kirk. Shatner doesn't apologize. He's made a living from these conventions for decades. They pay his bills, support his lifestyle. He's honest about it. He's not there out of love for Star Trek. He's there because fans pay to meet him. That honesty is refreshing and off-putting simultaneously. But something else happens at these conventions. Shatner meets people whose lives were changed by Kirk. People who became scientists because of Star Trek, who found hope during depression by watching Kirk's adventures, who learned that different cultures could work together by seeing the Enterprise crew. These stories affect him, remind him that Kirk mattered beyond box office numbers and critical reviews. Kirk inspired people, gave them dreams, made them believe in a better future. That legacy is real, more real than any regret about how the character died. Shatner sees this now, understands it in ways he couldn't when he was younger. Kirk isn't his. Kirk belongs to the fans, to the people who found meaning in those stories. His job was just to bring Kirk to life. He did that successfully for decades. That's enough. The documentary that told his truth. In 2022, Shatner released a documentary called You Can Call Me Bill. It was personal, raw, honest in ways he'd never been publicly before. He talked about his life, his career, his failures and successes, his regrets. The film didn't shy away from difficult topics. His complicated relationship with Nimoy, his 3 failed marriages, his daughter's struggles with addiction, his own aging and mortality. He talked about Star Trek II, about Kirk, about generations, about wishing he'd fought harder for a better ending. The documentary was well received. Critics praised Shatner's vulnerability, his willingness to confront his own flaws. Fans appreciated the honesty, seeing Shatner as a human being rather than just Captain Kirk. The film didn't fix anything, didn't resurrect Kirk or repair his friendship with Nimoy, but it gave Shatner something valuable, a chance to tell his story his way, to acknowledge mistakes without excuses, to admit that he'd spent decades chasing fame and money while neglecting relationships and deeper meaning. At 91, when the documentary was made, he was finally ready to be honest, to stop performing, to just be Bill Shatner, flawed, aging, still here. The mortality he can't escape. William Shatner is 93 years old. He knows he doesn't have much time left. His body is failing in small ways. Movement is harder. Energy is limited. Friends are dying. Leonard Nimoy is gone. Nichelle Nichols died in 2022. George Takei is 87. Walter Koenig is 88. The original Enterprise crew is disappearing. Shatner is still the captain, the last one standing in many ways. He thinks about death constantly now. Not morbidly, practically. He's lived a long life, a successful life, but an imperfect one. He has regrets, things he'd change, people he'd treat better, choices he'd make differently. Kirk's death in Generations is one of those regrets, but not the biggest one. The biggest one is Nimoy, letting that friendship die before Nimoy did, choosing pride over reconciliation. That haunts him more than any fictional character's ending. Shatner has said in recent interviews that he's making peace with mortality, accepting that his time is limited, trying to focus on what matters: family, legacy, the good he's done rather than the mistakes he's made. But acceptance is hard. Death is terrifying, even for someone who played the bravest captain in the galaxy. the legacy that survives. Captain Kirk will outlive William Shatner. Long after Shatner is gone, people will watch Star Trek. We'll see that captain sitting in that chair. We'll hear that voice saying, "Space, the final frontier." Kirk is immortal in a way Shatner never will be. That's strange, comforting and unsettling simultaneously. Shatner created Kirk, but Kirk transcended Shatner, became bigger than any actor, became a symbol of exploration, of hope, of humanity's better nature. Star Trek's optimism, its belief that humanity can overcome prejudice and war and destruction, lives in Kirk. Shatner gave that to the world. Whatever his personal flaws, whatever his regrets about how Kirk's story ended, he gave people a hero who believed in diplomacy over violence, who valued friendship and loyalty, who never gave up. That matters. That legacy is real, more real than box office numbers or critical reviews. Shatner understands this now. At 93, he finally sees what Kirk means beyond himself, beyond his ego, beyond his career. Kirk gave people hope, made them believe in a better future. That's worth more than a perfect death scene. That's worth everything. If you enjoyed this look at William Shatner's journey with Captain Kirk and his reflections on legacy and mortality, please like and subscribe. We explore the human stories behind iconic characters and the truths that only come with age and perspective.